So now we move on to Pluto and Pluto's job. And Pluto is going to, of course, it's the great transformer, and it's going to bring everything up that's been suppressed within the individual or hidden away, and it's going to bring it all up to the surface to be faced and purged. So it's a major purification that Pluto is creating on one level. This is also why it's referred to as a death and a rebirth, because, again, the death of the ego identity, it has to go through this death process in order to be reborn again. And, of course, in all religions, they have the figures of Jesus and his death and rebirth as the Christ, and all of the greats, whether it be Muhammad or Krishna or Buddha, they all went through this process. And by the way, I just want to interject that this is not something that happens from one day to the other. This would be years of a process of nature and evolution if it occurs in the life of an individual. So this emptying out, this purification process, once the ego no longer identifies with itself in the world and it's gone through this process, it's being prepared for a sense of unification with the divine. In order for this higher power, God, call it what you like, to be able to use an individual to manifest in the physical realm, it needs the individual. I refer to it as like a vessel. The vessel, because in, again, all sacred religious texts, it tells you that your temple, your body, is the kingdom of God. So this physical body goes through a complete transformation on a physiological level, on a psychological level, on every single level possible, in order to be completely emptied out, so that, let's say, the soul of the individual can merge with the spirit of the divine, and the divine can then use that individual on earth to do its work. What just came into my mind right now as an example of this would be like Francis of Assisi as one. And, of course, all of the saints probably went through this purification, death and rebirth, and unification. But this also happens not just to saints, but to ordinary individuals. And there's also something very interesting about it, where the individual becomes like a transparency. So you would never be able to identify who that individual is, because this is not about glorification of the ego anymore. This is about the non-sense of ego. And so there's no identification with, oh, I'm great and I did this and I did that. I think in the Bible Jesus says, I of myself can do nothing. God performs all actions through me. So this is not about ego glorification or aggrandizement at all, just the opposite. So that's Pluto. Pluto's going to purge, transform, bring about a complete perspective change, and prepare the individual for this unification with the divine. So, not easy to put into words, but I think it's really important that it's discussed in astrology, because we're not here to just live a mundane life, eat 3 meals a day, make money, retire, and then die. I mean, that would be a real sad purpose to the meaning of life. There's something much greater, much more significant. And this is why astrology is a sacred science. I remember hearing this, or I don't remember exactly where I heard this from, but astrology calls you into astrology. You're not really choosing astrology. You've been chosen to study astrology because it's not for everybody. So if you are one that has been chosen to study astrology, consider yourself privileged. And if you're into traditional astrology, I'm not here to criticize. I'm just saying you're really missing out on the much deeper significance of life, which is to transcend the material world for a much greater and higher purpose. Well, thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you've found this talk interesting. Be well. Bye-bye now.